He trusted her more than anyone else in the world. For years, he worked those late nights, pinching pennies and saving carefully. He was building a future, one where comfort and stability mattered far more than cheap thrills or fleeting excitement. In his mind, marriage was about consistency, a steady partnership, not a roller coaster of emotions. And for a long time, it seemed like she agreed. She smiled right there beside him, playing the part of the devoted wife perfectly. But beneath that serene surface, a quiet resentment began to fester. She started to hate the very safety he had worked so hard to provide. Her boredom grew slowly, silently, like a weed in a well-tended garden. The routine dinners, the predictable weekends, the unwavering love from a man who asked for nothing in return, it all started to feel like a cage. She told herself she was unhappy, though if you asked her why, she couldn't give you a straight answer. It was a feeling, a vague dissatisfaction with a life that many would envy. Then someone new entered her life. He was the complete opposite of her husband, reckless, impulsive, and unpredictable. The contrast was intoxicating. This new man made her feel desired, powerful, and, for the first time in a long time, in control of her own story. The affair began simply enough, with stolen conversations and secret meetings. Lying to her husband became surprisingly easy. She convinced herself that he deserved it. He was distant, she told herself. He was boring. He was too stable, too predictable. Her new lover listened, soaking up her complaints and believing every word. In his eyes, she was a victim, trapped in a loveless marriage. She painted her husband as a villain, controlling, cold, even dangerous. The lover, eager to play the hero, bought into her carefully constructed reality. Over time, her lies grew darker and more desperate. She started telling her lover that her husband was abusive, that she was trapped in her own home, that she was genuinely afraid for her life. Each lie was a carefully placed stepping stone, pushing her lover deeper into a state of obsession and righteous anger. He began to see himself as her savior, the only person brave enough to free her from this supposed monster. What started as emotional manipulation was slowly, insidiously, turning into a plan. She never intended to get her hands dirty, of course. She just wanted freedom, a clean escape without any of the messy consequences of a divorce or a confrontation. She started suggesting ideas casually, planting thoughts like seeds in his mind, never directly asking for violence. She'd sigh and talk about how peaceful her life would be if her husband were just gone. She'd whisper about how scared she felt, how utterly helpless she was. And her lover, caught in the web of her narrative, listened far too closely. He started to believe that removing her husband was not just an option. It was a noble act. One night the plan unraveled. Her husband came home early. Far too early. The moment he walked through the door, he sensed it. The tension in her voice on the phone, the flicker of panic in her movements. For the first time, he decided not to ignore the red flags he'd been brushing aside for months. He did something he had never done before. He checked her phone, messages, call logs, a pattern of communication that made absolutely no sense. And then the truth hit him. It wasn't just an affair. It was something far more sinister, far more dangerous. The realization sent a chill down his spine. The woman he had loved and trusted was capable of more than just betrayal. She was orchestrating his demise. That very same night, as her husband was piecing together the horrifying puzzle, the lover showed up at the house. He was unannounced, fueled by emotion and the lies she had fed him for months. He was ready to be her hero. He expected to find her grateful, ready to fall into his arms. Instead, he found pure confusion and terror on her face. She had only ever wanted the fantasy of escape, the power of words. She never planned for actual action. Panic erupted. Voices were raised. An argument broke out, loud and chaotic, a sound that didn't fit the quiet suburban narrative she had so carefully curated for her neighbors. Someone heard the commotion. Someone called the authorities. Seeing the situation spiral out of control, the lover fled into the night, leaving her alone in a house filled with lies that could no longer protect her. Her husband survived the night, but the marriage was dead. The police investigation that followed was swift and thorough. They uncovered everything, the text messages, the call recordings, a level of cold, calculated manipulation so intricate that it horrified even the seasoned detectives reading it. It was all there in black and white. The lover, wherever he was, finally realized the truth. He wasn't a hero. He was just a tool, a pawn in her twisted game. In the aftermath, she tried to explain herself. She cried. She blamed confusion, fear, her desperate love for the other man. She claimed she was a victim of her own emotions, but none of it mattered. The evidence laid her intentions bare for all to see. She didn't want help. She wanted an escape without accountability. The court didn't see a frightened, abused wife. They saw a planner, a manipulator. Her husband watched the proceedings from a distance as the truth methodically dismantled the woman he thought he knew. He felt a profound sense of grief, not for the marriage he had lost, but for the illusion he had lived in for so many years. The woman who had slept beside him, shared his life, and planned a future with him had been a complete stranger all along. She lost everything, not with a bang, but with a quiet, final click of a gavel: her reputation, her freedom, and most ironically, her sense of control. The lover vanished into the legal system, swallowed by his own consequences, finally learning the hard lesson that obsession is not love. Years later, her husband rebuilt his life. He moved forward slowly, cautiously. He learned that trust, while essential, should never come without awareness. He learned that silence can hide the most profound dangers. But most importantly, he learned that walking away alive isn't a sign of weakness. It's the ultimate act of survival. In the end, the elaborate plan that was meant to erase him from existence became the very thing that exposed her to the world.